always been interested in acting and stuff, but I've never heard of LARPing before. When I came to school as a freshman here, I went to the Gaming Society general interest meeting, and there was this table in the back of the room that had swords on it, and like Irish music playing, there were people in costumes, and I was like, what is that? And I knew that I needed to go over there and see what was going on. And the girl behind the table was like, this is LARP! And I'm like, I have no idea what that is, but I want to be in it. So I went to LARP's general interest meeting, and the president was like, you look like a princess, do you want to play a princess? And I was like, yeah. So that started my 4-year love affair with LARP.
To me, it was a freak chance, and I owe everything to that. Everything that my character is, he relies on chance and luck, and that's kind of how I got into it. Sinead has been doing LARP since she was a freshman and I was a sophomore in high school, so she would always come home on vacations and talk about LARP, and I was like, I'm not doing LARP. When I go to college, I'm not going to go to New Patlz, and I'm not going to LARP. And here I am in SUNY New Patlz in the LARP club. So I don't even know how to describe it other than just luck.
We've always been really, really close ever since we were little. We are pretty much inseparable. We've usually had the same similar likes and dislikes, habits that I think we've picked up from one another. When she first went away to college, I was brokenhearted, I was lonely, I had nobody else at home other than my parents. So I literally stayed in the basement until she came home. It was like, she's out of the basement, she's seeing the light. But now that I think coming to college and seeing her every day is making up for those 3 years where we were only seeing each other for a week or a summer, and I'm really thankful for that. You would think that we would not get along now that we've lived with each other for an entire college year, where we've both grown and changed, but I think it's become stronger, the bond between us, and I'm really glad for that, because I know a lot of siblings don't get along, and they always ask us, how do we get along so well?
In high school, I was very much the classic overachiever kid who's trying to do too much. I was an AP scholar with distinction. I did dance, I did theater, I did music. I was in National Honor Society. I did more work with the International Thespian Society, which is the high school chapter of Alpha Psi Omega. I am a giant fan of the so-called nerdy things in life. I've always been a giant Disney fan. I want to be a Disney princess when I grow up. I like Doctor Who, I like sci-fi novels like Dune. Yeah, I'm a big literature geek too. I love to read. I love blogging. Tumblr is a lot of fun. I hang out with my sister, I hang out with my friends a lot. We watch Disney movies or Anastasia, and we make popcorn and Mystery Science Theater them.
I play a lot of video games. I play Pokemon, Ace Attorney. I'm really bad at Super Smash Brothers, but I still like playing it. I like to walk around campus. Like, I don't ride bikes, I don't drive, so I obviously have to walk everywhere. I've been doing ballet since I was maybe 4 or 5, just tried to do the math in my head. And over the years it's become something that I've really, really loved, and then there was a period where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, there are other things I want to try, but every time I would think of something I was like, I don't want to do that, that's not me. I am not particularly athletic. I'm not good at sports. I moved to gracefully, apparently, to play like soccer or basketball or track. I've danced with my sister, I've danced with my cousin, I've made so many friends who I consider family because of dance.
I learned how to walk from ballet because there's something wrong with my spine when I was younger. So I consider myself to be kind of like a dance fighter. I had a couple of friends who taught me how to fence, and the ballet influence in the way I walk, and the way I jump, and the way I move influenced how I fight. So I'll get out of like a very offensive thrust by twirling out of the way and being like, yeah, you didn't miss me.
Like when I walk, I don't stomp really. I usually have my hands in a very graceful-ish pose. I realize when I LARP, I move like a dancer, and then like I can't move like that. I'm supposed to be going like throwing a sword to somebody. I'm not supposed to be like, let's dance. But it always ends up like that. It's definitely influenced my fighting style. It's influenced my sisters. You can really see it with her. But my character Orin is very timid, and so I think a lot of the movements in ballet with like the very dainty hand motions, stepping back slowly, has definitely morphed into him, and I didn't mean to. I think it's a little too graceful for him, so hopefully I'll try and tweak it a little bit, but I think it works just based on his nature. I really don't know what I did. I just woke up one day and I was like, I want to play a character like this, but I don't want to tell anybody in case I'm really not interested in it, or it's just not working for me, or I have things that are going to conflict with LARP and I can't go, so this character's just going to go to waste. But I just had a dream one night and I saw this person in my head and I was like, I need to make you a real person.
It's like when you're thinking about acting and you're thinking about writing, sometimes these characters just come into your head, and then sometimes they become iconic, like characters from SNL. They just come from fooling around one day and then they're established. So when I joined LARP, I didn't have a character in mind, but the president at the time looked at me and she said, "You look like a Disney princess. Do you want to play a princess?" And I was like, yeah. So that's how Lizette was born. A lot of girls who LARP, not so many as we used to, but you know, when people think of LARP, they always think of like the geeky, slightly overweight guys who run around hitting each other and yelling lightning bolt, lightning bolt. But that's not true. We have a lot of girls who take a very serious interest in LARP. We have people who are very religious, for instance, who take part in LARP. And because the religious and mythology, folklore and stuff in LARP is so involved, it's cool for them to let go of something they do in real life and have their characters tend to it in game. And it could be like you're atheist and suddenly your character's really religious, or you're very religious in real life but your character doesn't believe in anything, it doesn't want to believe in anything. There's business majors in LARP, there's theater majors in LARP, there's political relations and photography majors in LARP. I think people all bring a very different spin on LARP. For example, I'm not the only theater major in LARP, but I treat LARP specifically the way I treat acting, where you have a character and you have to react to something in the moment. You have to make a choice, and then you have to live with the consequences of that choice. To get what your character really wants, you have to understand what's going on in the situation and what it means. What do you get if you win? What do you get if you lose? So maybe I'm one of the more analytical people who comes to their characters, but people, even like business majors, get really, really in depth with what their characters are doing. So sometimes people in like political science, they have characters who are very, very into the politics and diplomacy of the world, and that helps shape what goes on in world events. The people who are business majors tend to be people who own property in LARP or make a shrewd business decision in-game that helps the group. So everybody has something different that they bring to the table, and it really helps the story move along. And there's so many interesting people that LARP here. There's people from all walks of life, all different majors, all different jobs and backgrounds and interests, and they all come here to do the same thing as me, use your imagination and play. So we, even if we're completely different on the outside, we do have a lot of the same interests that I probably would never have guessed if we hadn't been here, and I'm glad we're friends.
It's always really, really nice to have that kind of connection with someone outside of the game, because you could be very, very close to someone's character, but then outside of the game you can never speak to that person. And I don't think that really happens here. We're very lucky that it's pretty close-knit.
LARP means a lot to me. It's been such a huge part of my college experience for the last 4 years, and I wouldn't have traded that for the world. I met so many great people and made so many friends and awesome, interesting experiences that I don't think I ever would have had if I hadn't jumped in and tried it.
The connections I've made with LARP will stick with me for a very, very long time, and without them, I would probably be sitting in my dorm room right now, not doing anything and not talking to anybody.
Don't be afraid to take chances. in the moment when you have a sword flying at you, you can either run away or you can attack back.
Just because it sounds dorky, like, oh, sword fighting, no, go out and do it. It's really fun. You never know how great it's going to be until you try it. And sometimes it's not for everybody. We've had people come in and out and try it, and that's great. Like, we got ourselves out there as a club. People were genuinely interested, and so it didn't work out for them. That's fine. But they gave it a shot, and that's the important part. And I hope future LARPers will do the same and stick with it, maybe, because that would be an honor to fight with them as a crusader.
Many amazing friends during my 4 years here in the LARP club, and I'm really sad to see it go. And I always make the recommendation to theater majors and people who have a love for the fantastical, people who love HVZ, people who just love using their imagination and love writing. Try it. It can't hurt. All you have to do is be present in the moment and have fun. So, LARP away.